The News Watch never stops. This is 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM. You give us 22 minutes, we'll give you the world.
Light rain, 60 degrees at 12:40. Good afternoon. I'm Ashok Kabbalah. Here's what's happening. An 11-year FDNY firefighter dies in the line of duty in Brooklyn. The department is mourning the loss of Patrick Brady. The NYPD is looking for suspects wanted for the robbery of 3 young boys in the Bronx. The Department of Homeland Security is in a fight with Olivia Rodrigo over the use of a song. After an earthquake was detected in the Pacific, Japan issues a tsunami advisory.
I have lost my fiancé, the poor baby.
Maybe the dingo ate your baby.
Queensland, Australia is considering allowing dingoes to be kept as household pets. Giants take on the Bears, the Jets host the Browns, and tonight the Knicks battle the Nets. I forgot to finish the sentence there. AccuWeather says mostly cloudy this afternoon, occasional rain and drizzle, maybe even a rumble of thunder, especially in Jersey. We're going up to 63. Tonight, cloudy with periods of rain, 48. Tomorrow, a shower around early, especially east of the city, otherwise breezy and cooler. Clouds will yield to some sun. The high for Monday, 55. Wins News Time, 12:41. Let's get you where you need to go. Here's Andre Farrow.
Now, we're working on this crash on Long Island. Here's what we see on Long Island's Big 3. It's right by Route 110, heading towards 109 eastbound through Amityville, and you're tapping the brakes hard there. So you might want to just go with Sunrise Highway to avoid that delay. If you're going to sit there, it's going to take you at least an extra 15 minutes. And who wants to sit there for 15 minutes? If you're traveling westbound on the LIE over by Glen Cove Road, tapping the brakes. But the Northern State Parkway looks pretty good, actually. The southbound side of the Cross Island is slow, heading down towards Northern Boulevard. Go Clearview if you're using the Throgs Neck. Here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. Just about 15 minutes into the George Washington Bridge from the Turnpike, about 20 on the outbound side. Deegan delays coming down from the Marshalloo and northbound in front of Yankee Stadium. And the inbound Lincoln, looks like we have some trouble on 495 heading over by Palisades Avenue. It's a crash knocking out one lane, so an extra 20 minutes going to be needed there heading inbound. The Holland's about the same, though, 20. Outbound Holland, outbound Lincoln do look good, but you're not so fast in Brooklyn on the westbound side of the BQE across the Kosciuszko heading towards the Williamsburg, and then more delays in front of the Brooklyn Bridge, Atlantic Avenue and Flushing Avenue. And you have bumper-to-bumper traffic on the eastbound belt as you head towards Cross Bay Boulevard. Andre Farrow, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM.
This morning in Brownsville, FDNY members placed bunting outside ladder 120 after the line of duty death of firefighter Patrick Brady.
Black and purple buntings now hang at the Watkins Street Firehouse for Patrick Brady. He was 42 and died fighting a blaze on the roof of a building on Kings Highway. Neighbors like Vaughn say it was chaotic.
He gave his life, to do this and protect the city, and it's unfortunate, really.
He went into cardiac arrest, later dying at the hospital. But Sunday's bunting ceremony was heavy. Firefighter Jake Toohey says
his love for this firehouse, for the members of this firehouse, only came second to the love for his wife, Cara.
And former captain at Battalion 44, Scott Coyne.
Anyone who knows me knows I'm usually not one lost for a loss of words.
Amanda Alexander, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM in Brownsville.
Brady's 2 brothers are also FDNY firefighters. Mayor Adams calls Brady's service the ultimate sacrifice and says the city will cherish his memory. Wrapping up today in Puerto Rico is the annual Somos Conference. In addition to addressing the issues facing the island, it's also an unofficial networking event for politicians. Governor Hochul and Zoran Mamdani were in attendance. Hochul says she had a conversation with the mayor-elect about some of his policies.
Many conversations, I'd say over the summer and the fall, that were important, that led to an understanding of what's in the realm of possibilities, shared ambitions, but what is doable is the question.
Boy.
As far as Mamdani's free bus plan, Hochul says she's open to making fares affordable for people who need help, but cannot support a plan which takes money out of a system that relies on fares to keep it going. The Senate back in session today as the government shutdown enters day 40. Starting today, New Yorkers will be able to receive SNAP benefits again thanks to an order from Governor Hochul. New Jersey began making payments to EBT cards on Friday. Lines outside food banks across the country have been growing.
Democrats offered a plan that would extend Obamacare tax credits for a year and fund the government.
Doing nothing is derelict because people will go bankrupt, people will lose insurance, people will get sicker.
Republicans want the government to reopen before negotiating on health care. Some 42 million Americans on food stamps are left waiting for assistance after the program ran out of funds.
Christian Benavides reporting airports are still a mess with more than 1,800 flights already canceled today. There have been more than 14,000 delays. In our area, Newark leads the way with more than 200 cancellations and 300 delays. It is 60 with light rain. We're heading up to 63 in Midtown. Now a WFAN Sports Flash.
Jackson Dark's next stop on his rookie campaign trail is in Chicago as the Giants battle the Bears. Chicago's defense ranks first in the league in total takeaways and interceptions. Dart knows he is in for a challenge.
They're tough. They lead the league in turnovers, so we're definitely going to have to do our due diligence and making sure that we take care of the ball. And it's going to be a lot of fun to play in that atmosphere. That's a place that I've always wanted to play at, so excited to play against a traditional organization in a place like Chicago against a really good team.
Kickoff is at 1 o'clock. The Jets have their eyes set on the future after trading Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams this past week. Despite the shocking moves, Garrett Wilson says that he isn't concerned about his own long-term prospects with gangrene.
I don't ever worry about or think about security. I know what it is when it comes to this league. None of us have, you know what I'm saying? You got the security, but like the reality of this game and when days like that come, it just reminds you, go out and prove yourself every day on this field.
Wilson is expected to return today after missing 2 games with a hyperextended knee. Kickoff is at 1 p.m. NBA, the Knicks will look to remain perfect at home when they host the Nets. Tip-off is at 6 o'clock. From the WFAN Sports Desk, I'm Tony Pierno.
3 young kids were robbed in the Bronx earlier this week. Cops say around 12:30 Tuesday afternoon, 2 men walked up to 2 12-year-old boys and a 13-year-old on East 164th Street in West Concourse, demanding their cell phones. The boys handed them over. The suspects scurried off. Nobody was injured. Cops have released surveillance photos of the suspects. If you have any information, hit up Crime Stoppers. A 6.7 earthquake rattled the Pacific Ocean near Japan early this morning, forcing the nation to issue a tsunami advisory for parts of its eastern coastline. The quake, with a depth of 6 miles, was detected about 80 miles east of the northern coastal town of Yamada. Any waves hitting the island could reach more than 3 feet high. Parts of the country are seeing snow today, and a deep freeze is heading in our direction.
You've got snow starting to develop across the Great Lakes, heading into the northeast. We're not going to see any snowflakes down New York City or Boston, down towards the mid-Atlantic, but the cold air is going to be settling in here. Potentially record temperatures, record on the cold side by Monday, Tuesday, getting into the middle of the week here.
ABC News meteorologist Jeff Banson. Tuesday is expected to be the coldest day in the city, with AccuWeather calling for low temps close to 30.
Hey, Scott Shannon here with the greatest hits of the 60s and 70s, now available on my True Oldies channel. Just go to 92.3 FM HD3.
Powered by River Spring Living.
I have lost my fiancé, the poor baby.
Maybe the dingo ate your baby.
I'll tell you about that, but first, Wins News Time, 12:51. Let's get you where you need to go. Here's Andre Farrow.
Now let's go to the George Washington Bridge. Here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. Well, you have about a 15-minute delay heading inbound. Outbound's going to be around 20 with the cross Bronx delays, but there's bigger delays on the northbound side of the Harlem River Drive heading up towards the George Washington Bridge, where you do have some volume. Using the inbound link, and there's a crash on 495 over by Palisades Avenue. You have delays that go back to Tunnelly Avenue, so that's going to slow you down. It's not the actual Lincoln Tunnel that's going to do the job on you. It's the getting there type thing. And if you're using the outbound Lincoln, that's wide open. The outbound Holland will be about 10. Inbound's around 15. It's mostly 139 static, so go with the Newark Bay extension. Brooklyn Battery Tunnel is slow heading towards Manhattan. We do have heavy delays westbound BQ in front of the Brooklyn Bridge over by Flushing Avenue, and eastbound by Atlantic Avenue. There's also a westbound stall on the Belt Parkway. This is over by Knapp Street, causing delays round trip, and there's more delays hovering around Flatbush Avenue as well on the Belt Parkway. Keep in mind, if you're heading to the airports, LaGuardia, JFK, Newark, check your airline app for the latest info. You don't want to be sitting there at the airport waiting for a flight to come in. Numerous delays and cancellations. No fun at the airports these days. Andre Farrow, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM.
Let's check the AccuWeather forecast now with meteorologist Bill Dager.
Yeah, that forecast is taking a turn for the soggy side here for the rest of our day and into tonight. After a dry and even sunny morning in parts of the area, The clouds have moved in, and so has some rain. We have a few light showers and sprinkles right now. Some heavier rain has been moving through parts of far northwestern New Jersey and at the Jersey Shore. That'll be working its way toward the area this afternoon and tonight. Off and on rain and drizzle, the story. A high of 63, low tonight 48. After an early shower tomorrow, cold front moves the rain out, then we're breezy and cooler as clouds yield to sun. High 55. Temperatures could drop in the afternoon. That'll set the stage for a very windy, very chilly Tuesday, partly sunny. High 44, real feels near 30, but temperatures rebound a little Wednesday. Partly sunny, breezy up to 50 and near 50 again later in the week. Right now 60 with light rain, relative humidity 74%. Repeating their current temperature 60, going up to 63 today. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Bill Degger on New York's weather station, 1010 Winds on 92.3 FM.
This funny moment from Seinfeld doesn't really fit in very often with any news story, so prepare to hear it a lot today.
I have lost my fiancé, the poor baby.
Maybe the dingo ate your baby.
The state government in Queensland, Australia is considering reclassifying dingoes as domestic dogs, opening the door for them to be kept as pets. Right now, dingoes are listed as an invasive species, meaning they can't be sold, fed, or owned. Wildlife advocates are pushing back, saying dingoes are a distinct species and play a crucial ecological role. Experts warn they're too wild for home life, noting they're highly intelligent and known escape artists. Dingoes are already legal pets in some other Australian states, but many end up being abandoned. Here's a story that'll make Indiana Jones cringe.
Nicole Jones woke up in the middle of the night Wednesday and went to the fridge for a snack.
I'm like, why is there a snake there?
So she called police, who came and took the animal out of her house. East Providence police told us the snake isn't venomous. Police took it to animal control, where Nicole learned they planned to bring the snake to a reptile shop.
And then I was like, can I come get him? And he goes, yeah, you found him in your house, so he's technically yours.
So she brought it back home, where it began to grow on her.
It was just very calm, so I was just like, no agitation, nothing. So I was like, it seems like a really good snake.
Kayla Fish reporting the snake had been lost by a previous tenant who moved out 3 months ago. Los Angeles is cracking down on smoke shops selling the herbal substance kratom following 6 fatal overdoses.
It's a health supplement some people use to help with pain and anxiety.
When I've used it before, I'm like, oh, my back pain's gone. So there is some use there. Do I think anybody should just be able to buy as much as they want? Probably not.
Kratom's use is controversial. It's illegal to import and has been linked to seizures and deaths, including 6 in L.A. County in recent months. The L.A. County Department of Health says inspectors will be pulling the product from store shelves next week because of its dangers, including acting as an opioid at high levels.
Lauren Posen reporting. It is 60 with light rain. We're heading up to 63 in Midtown. Now Bloomberg Money Watch.
Consumers in their 20s and 30s are losing their appetite for fast, casual chains like Chipotle and Shake Shack.
Executives at both companies say they're seeing younger diners pull back.
Charles Gorovan wrote the story for Bloomberg News.
Chipotle CEO Scott Boatwright called people in their late 20s to early 30s a particularly challenged cohort, while Shake Shack CEO Rob Lynch said challenges among younger consumers obviously impacting the industry as well.
It turns out that many of those consumers aren't going to competitors. They're going to grocery stores and eating at home.
More broadly, younger workers are being squeezed by a cooler job market and slower pay growth right now. So the unemployment rate for 25 to 34-year-olds rose to 4.4% in August, the highest since February.
It's a big deal for these chains. At Chipotle, about a quarter of sales come from customers in their late 20s and early 30s. I'm Charlie Pellis, Bloomberg Money Watch on 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM.
WINS FM in HD1 New York. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
More people get their news from 1010 Wins than from any other radio station in the nation. Gary Souders at the editor's desk. I'm Ashok Kavala.
All news, all the time. This is 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM, New York.
Good afternoon.
afternoon, 60 degrees, starting to get wet outside in Midtown. I'm Donna Vaughn, and here's what's happening. Black and purple bunting hanging outside a Brooklyn firehouse after an FDNY tragedy, the death of a firefighter in the line of duty.
I just wanted to see his name on the board. You wanted to see his car in the parking lot.
Well, Veterans Day is coming up Tuesday. Plans are in place for the city's annual parade up Fifth Avenue. Well, once again, the Trump administration is trying to deport Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the Maryland man who wound up in a Salvadoran mega prison by accident. A former member of al-Qaeda turned president of Syria will be a guest at the White House this week for a meeting with President Trump. And mark your calendars for the return of Holiday Open Street, the popular event that closes Fifth Avenue in Midtown to cars to make way for pedestrians only along the world-famous shopping district. Well, the Jets playing at home against Cleveland this afternoon, while the Giants visit the Bears. Both games just getting underway tonight. The Nets cross town to visit the Knicks. AccuWeather says spotty rain and drizzle around this afternoon, high 63. It's news time 101. Let's get you where you need to go now with Andre Farrow.
And we're working on this crash on Long Island. Here's what we see on Long Island's Big 3. This is eastbound Southern State Parkway. Left lane is still affected by this as you head towards that 109 area, just east of Amityville and Farmingdale. So you're going to need some time. Again, it's the eastbound Southern over by 109. And the westbound LIE is slow by Glen Cove Road and then again by the Queens border from Lakeville Road to the long-term road work over by Springfield Boulevard. You'll need that extra time with those new sound barriers going up everywhere right around Springfield. Southbound on the Clearview, noticing a stall heading down towards Hillside Avenue. So maybe this time the Cross Island is a better option. Usually it isn't. Now, if you're traveling east and west LIE over by Woodhaven Boulevard to tap in the brakes, you do have some volume there. And the inbound side of the George Washington Bridge, about 15 minutes, 25 to 30 on the outbound side. Inbound Lincoln and Holland, you'll need around 15. Outbound, you're golden. We have some delays on the northbound side of the Western Spur right in front of MetLife Stadium. Andre Farrow, 1010 wins on 92.3 FM.
On the FDNY in mourning today after the loss of a veteran firefighter. He was helping to douse a blaze on the roof of a Brownsville building last night when tragedy struck.
When you think of New York City firemen, you think of figures that are larger than life. Scott Coyne, former captain of Battalion 44, says that was Patrick Brady.
You could tell there was something different about Pat. You could see how well he filled up a room.
The 11-year vet was battling a fire Saturday night on the roof of a Kings Highway building. That's when he suffered a medical episode, going into cardiac arrest, and later died at Brookdale Hospital. Coyne says,
He was an organizer. He was an informal leader. When you look back at your own life, whenever, you'd always want to be like a figure that is like a Pat Brady.
Brady is survived by his wife, Karen. Amanda Alexander, 1010 wins on 92.3 FM. In Brownsville.
And a statement from the president of the FDNY Uniformed Firefighters Association says Brady's passing is a devastating reminder of the dangers their members face every single day in service to others. Well, everyone loves a parade, and that's what we're getting on Tuesday, the city's annual Veterans Day parade. It'll step off at 12:30 in the afternoon and make its way up Fifth Avenue from East 25th to 45th Streets. This year's event commemorates 250 years of U.S. military service dating back to the Revolutionary War. Every branch of the military will be taking part, along with marching bands, vintage vehicles, veterans groups, and the usual parade fare. Thousands of people are expected to line the parade route, but if you'd rather stay warm inside, you can live stream it or watch it on ABC. Stick with 1010 wins for traffic and transit, and we will keep you posted on street closures during the big event. Well, a vigil this morning on Long Island for an 80-year-old Vietnam vet struck and killed by a stolen car last week. Ironically, he just attended a Veterans Day event at a South Farmingdale school when it happened.
The uplifting story told by Peter Mars' daughter described his last day.
He was smiling from ear to ear.
Sadness filled the vigil outside Woodward Parkway Elementary. His grandson, Peter, was there.
He was a proud Vietnam veteran, and I'm proud to wear his hat and honor him.
Police say Mars was leaving his granddaughter's Veterans Day ceremony when a stolen Nissan hit him. His daughter, Suzanne, says he loved his grandkids. Peter was his first.
We had so much joy in teaching him and telling him so many stories.
Family says he's now with his wife, who died 5 months ago. Darius Ranzig's 1010 wins at 92.3 FM on Long Island.
And another vigil for Morris has been planned for Veterans Day on Tuesday. Police say the driver of that stolen car was 24-year-old Randy Colon of Hicksville. He is now facing manslaughter charges. Well, the Supreme Court may soon consider an appeal on same-sex marriage.
The Supreme Court has been asked to revisit one of its landmark rulings from a decade ago.
Legal analyst Jessica Levinson says in Obergefell, the decision was based on two factors.
One was that there's a right to marry, and the second is that the Equal Protection Clause dictates that marriage cannot be denied based on wanting to marry a partner of the same sex.
She thinks it's unlikely the justices will take up the case.
Correspondent Stacey Lynn, the court will decide whether or not to hear the case tomorrow. Well, the Trump administration is again trying to deport Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the Maryland man who spent weeks in a notorious Salvadoran mega prison after he was deported by accident. Now, the Trump Justice Department wants to send the Salvadoran native to Liberia. Prosecutors argue that a judge's ban of his deportation should be lifted because the Liberian government has promised not to persecute him. His attorneys say the government has cycled through at least 4 third-country nations without giving him due process, a chance to argue why he should not be deported. The Trump administration still insists Abrego Garcia is a member of MS-13 and charged him with human smuggling after finally reversing his deportation. He has pleaded not guilty. Israel has received the remains of an Israeli soldier killed in Gaza 11 years ago.
Hamas said it found the body of the soldier, Hadar Golden, in a tunnel underneath the southern Gaza city of Rafah. At the start of the weekly cabinet meeting, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that Hamas had held the body for 11 years, causing what he called great agony to his family, which will now be able to give him a Jewish burial. Israeli analysts said the return of Golden's body could strengthen the U.S.-backed ceasefire signed last month.
Correspondent Linda Gradstein. The remains of 4 other hostages are still being held by Hamas in Gaza and are expected to be returned as part of the ceasefire deal. For each Israeli hostage returned, Israel has been releasing the remains of 15 Palestinians. More than 300 have now been returned. Well, police in the Bronx investigating 2 separate murders. A 48-year-old man found beaten to death in his Morris Heights apartment around 9 last night. Police say a person of interest is in custody, but no charges filed yet. Hours later, another 48-year-old man, that is, found with stab wounds to the neck inside an apartment on East 162nd Street. He was pronounced dead at the scene. A 38-year-old man in that apartment also wounded. Police have a man in custody, 33-year-old Taekwon McBride. He's been charged with murder, manslaughter, attempted manslaughter. It's not yet known what led up to the violence in either case. A former militant who was held by American forces in Iraq 2 decades ago because he joined al-Qaeda will be a guest at the White House this week. Ahmad al-Sharaa is now the president of Syria after cutting ties with al-Qaeda years ago, and now he's due to meet with President Trump tomorrow. He's expected to push for the full removal of sanctions against Syria and announce that his nation will officially join the U.S.-led coalition fighting Islamic State terrorists. Al-Sharaa led the rebellion that ousted former Syrian strongman Bashar Assad last year, and skeptics accuse him of not controlling the sectarian violence that's broken out since then. That includes 100 U.S. religious leaders who've asked President Trump to address the massacre of minorities in Syria. 60 degrees, a little bit of rain. We're headed up to a high of 63 today in Midtown. Traffic and the full AccuWeather forecast next. The economy putting a damper on holiday shopping and travel this year. We'll get to that story in just a moment, but first. Wins News Time, 111. Let's get you where you need to go now. Here's Andre Ferro.
And let's go to the George Washington Bridge. Here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. If you're traveling outbound, you have about a 20-minute delay. Inbound's going to cost you around 15 minutes into the Lincoln and Holland. Western spur delays in front of MetLife heading up towards the Vince Lombardi. And even the Eastern spur is a little slow heading up towards that 46 area. Traveling on the westbound BQE in Brooklyn, tapping the brakes over by the Brooklyn Bridge near Flushing Avenue. And the inbound Gowanus from 39th Street up to the Brooklyn Bridge is nonstop. We have a crash on the Belt Parkway. It's right by Knapp Street. Round trip delays there, so you're going to be slow westbound by Flatbush Avenue and eastbound over by Ocean Parkway heading to that vicinity. There's also a crash on the northbound Cross Island right by the UBS Arena north of the Southern State. You'll need some extra time. Now, if you're traveling southbound Cross Island, that is slow as well, heading down towards Northern Boulevard. Long Island's Big 3, well, we finally cleared that crash on the eastbound Southern, so doing better there over by 110. The westbound LIE are pumping the brakes over by Glen Cove Road, and then then again over by Lakeville Road. As you approach the Queens border, looks like that road work is really ramping up over by the Springfield Boulevard area in Queens on the LIE. As they're widening the road, they're putting up those new sound barriers, so you need some extra time in that area. Andre Ferro, 10-10 wins on 92.3 FM.
Now let's get a check of the AccuWeather forecast. Here's meteorologist Matt Benz.
I am dealing with occasional light rain and drizzle here for the remainder of this afternoon. You could even hear a few rumbles of thunder, especially across New Jersey, high 63. Then for tonight, periods of rain, a low 48. Perhaps a shower to start the day tomorrow, very early on, especially east of the city. Otherwise, breezy and cooler as clouds break for sunshine, high at 55. Temperatures may actually fall a bit through the afternoon. Tuesday, windy and quite chilly. Mixture of sun and clouds, high at 44. Real feels closer to 30. Temperatures trying to rebound a bit for Wednesday. Some sunshine, still breezy, though, with a high around 50. Right now, it's 61 degrees in Central Park with a relative humidity of 77%. Repeating the current temperature is 61, going up to 63 this afternoon in Midtown. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Matt Benz, on New York's weather station, 10-10 wins on 92.3 FM.
Well, here comes the holiday season, but is your wallet saying bah humbug? The faltering economy has apparently led a lot of Americans to rethink plans to hit the road as well as their gift buying.
A lot of people say they're cutting back their holiday travel this year, other than to Grandma's house, according to a report from Bankrate.
Only 21% of adults say they're planning holiday travel, down 6 percentage points from last year.
Then there's the cost of gifts, says Bankrate senior analyst Ted Rossman.
40% of holiday shoppers are concerned that items are going to cost more this year.
Rossman says, though, retailers appear to be absorbing the impact of tariffs.
A lot of retailers stocked up in advance, trying to absorb the higher costs in their margins.
And the survey also found more American travelers plan to use credit cards this year to cover the cost of their holiday trips. That was correspondent Stephen Kaufman. We only have light rain and temperatures in the low 60s right now in Midtown. It is time now for a WFAN Sports Flash.
A double dose of New York football this afternoon. The 2-7 Giants are in Chicago, taking on a Bears team that's been a bit of a surprise this year at 5-3. They are 5+ minutes in Chicago, all scoreless. The Bears do have the football in Giants territory. You can hear the live play-by-play for that game on WFAN. The 1-7 Jets, fresh off of trading 2 of their franchise cornerstones this past week. The Jets hosting the 2-6 Browns. This game is also scoreless, 5.5 minutes in, and the Browns also find themselves in Jets territory. They're down to the Jets' 31-yard line. This is a battle for perhaps a top pick in the upcoming draft.
Congratulations.
One of the first-round picks the Jets acquired for Sauce Gardner, looking a little worse after the Colts rallied to beat the Falcons in overtime in Berlin this morning. The Colts are now 8-2. Longtime former NFL Commissioner Paul Tagliabue has died at 84 years old. Tagliabue was in the league's top seat from 1989 until 2006. Later, the Knicks are hosting the rival Nets at Madison Square Garden. That's a 6 o'clock tip-off. You can hear that on WFAN. From the WFAN Sports Desk, I'm Pete McCarthy.
Mark your calendars for the return of Holiday Open Street. That's the popular event that closes 5th Avenue in Midtown to cars to make way for pedestrians only along the world-famous shopping district. Now, this year, like last year, Holiday Open Street happens for just one day, Sunday, December 14th, noon to 6 p.m., between 47th and 57th Streets. When it first started after the pandemic, it had been a 3-day event. But organizers say increased security around Trump Tower had created a logistical challenge. City Hall says a Holiday Open Street has driven millions of dollars in sales each year. The city never sleeps, and neither do we. All News 92.3 FM, always here when you need us.
All news, all the time. This is 10-10 Wins at 92.3 FM. You give us 22 minutes, we'll give you the world.
Good afternoon, 61 degrees and raining at 1:20. I'm Donna Vaughn, and here's what's happening. For the second time in 2 weeks, the city has lost a firefighter in the line of duty. It happened last night in Brooklyn. Cold case solved. Authorities on Long Island will reportedly announce that they figured out who killed a woman whose body was found 3 decades ago. Some 15,000 airport delays across the country today, day 40 of the government shutdown.
Controllers that I've talked to said a lot of them we can miss one paycheck.
New Yorkers, though, are finally beginning to get their SNAP benefits again today. An apology from Starbucks after their limited edition Barista Cups spark fights, long lines, and $500 resale listings, believe